Hello, everyone. It's May 12th, and today we have a full moon in Scorpio. So, really, this video could have been recorded sooner because this full moon in Scorpio has already been working its magic on us for the last weekend, at least for sure. It's been a very powerful, intense full moon. So, a lot of astrologers will say that this year doesn't even really start until June. And that's because up until now, we've had so many slow moving planets slugging along, going backwards, moving into retrograde. The faster personality planets that are more reflective of our inner selves and inner experience also have gone retrograde. We've had a lot of looming big shifts into new energy as well that hasn't fully completed yet. So it's hard to believe that we are already 5 months through the year. 2025 is going by like that, but 2025 is the year of the shift. And so, like in my last video, when I talked about, we really are not so much getting over these energies and then getting back to a normal pace. We're just bringing the energies in, feeling them, attuning to them, breathing through them, and then getting ready for the next. There's no going back anymore. We are being calibrated to a higher and higher frequency all the time. So, with that, the beginning of May has felt like a little bit of what I called that threshold moment where we got a bit of a breather from the really intense energies and kind of inner work. And then, of course, we had eclipse season in April. And then it was like, oh, okay, there's a bit of time to kind of get our head above water and look around and even get some work done because these fiery planets started moving forward and things felt a little bit more productive. Now, with this full moon, it has certainly caused a little bit of a slowdown again, where when we had time to breathe in early May a little bit, the moon in Scorpio is designed, the energy of Scorpio is to pull us into the very depths of that stuff that's inside. And so, like, what we've gotten for this year is a series of moving and purging and releasing and inner work and just like scraping all of that top layer of scum. I keep using this fish tank analogy when you really get in and do that like deep clean. And then we got a little bit of a pause, like, whoa, January, February, March, oh my gosh, it's been a crazy winter so far. And now Scorpio moon is coming along to say, okay, now that you've cleaned the sludge off of the top layer, we need to look deeper and see what's been hiding underneath there. Okay. So Scorpio full moon comes once a year. Remember, a lunar year is 13 months, not 12 months. So we're just 2 months into the new lunar year. Well, I guess it's 3 months now because it's May and time has been flying. And the Scorpio full moon comes this time every year to pull us into the depths and the deepest. So we've been doing wintering, we've been doing that internal work, looking more inside all winter. And now that we've scrubbed away, we can see, okay, what is even deeper in there? So something that's really important when working with the moon and kind of connecting to like what our psyche is going through each month is not just the moon, but the solar cycle as well, because those two always act in polarity with each other, especially on a full moon, because they're literally across each other in the chart. So you get this like tugging on two different sides of you energetically. And it's that space between those two elements that you're feeling. Your life is reflecting Taurus energy right now, where the sun is. Your consciousness, what you see outside, Taurus is very like hardworking, focused on finance and stability and foundation and self-worth. And all of those things are kind of calling your attention. And then on the flip side, we have like the inner depths of everything that is not really that. So, where in Taurus you have like financial security, in Scorpio you have debt and financial partnerships that are a power dynamic, right? And so we really feel this pull between these two sides of us, the outer world and the version of us that's like making progress right now, and the inner world and the version of us that's like feels like all of these fears, like my life is falling apart, right? So this is where you get that kind of like middle of the night thoughts of whether it's, like I said, financial security or your bond, your relationship, because any Scorpio is deep, deep bonding. It's the deepest level of merging with another, and that could be not just another person but another entity. So it's deep bonding, say, in relationship, but it's also deep bonding in business partnerships, in, like I said, debt and financial partnerships. It could be with a bank, right? That kind of thing, for example. So in a Scorpio full moon, we're going to be dredging up all of these deep, deep feelings that make us feel very, very vulnerable inside, right? That we usually keep down, these kind of big irrational fears, which if they were out on the surface and we were projecting that all of the time, we would just be spewing kind of like emotional intensity all over the place. And so Scorpio keeps those internal feelings and fears very deep and kind of hides them from the world. So what we're looking at is like the deepest things inside of you, wherever your personal Scorpio energy comes up in your life, that you've been keeping down so long, afraid to let out into the world because, afraid that your worst fears will come true, or you'll be vulnerable and you'll be rejected or abandoned or lose your home or your security, right? Um, that's kind of what we're dealing with when we deal with the Scorpio full moon. So, if you've been having those feelings, if you're going through that right now, if you're feeling this like internal pull between like how you want to show up more stable and secure in the world, in your self-worth, your foundation, your well-being, etc., even like your core independence, right? And able to be like your own pillar, and then a pillar for other people, that's Taurus energy. And then you've got these kind of ruminating internal deep thoughts of like fear to be vulnerable, fear of your own kind of intense emotions or intensity in general, or intense love for people. You might be someone with that Scorpio energy that like loves very fiercely, but you've been rejected or that part of you has been shut down. And so you have this kind of inner energy that isn't really able to go anywhere. And that can start to create a lot of even like issues inside the body, right? And so Scorpio is also attached to the sacral chakra. And then we also have root chakra stuff coming up because we're in Taurus season, and Taurus is that earthy, grounded root chakra energy. So at this time of year, we're very much dealing with our core human, very primal fears and insecurities, right? We're also leveling those up into a new octave of growth. But as we know, in order to level up in this next cycle, we have to see, okay, what are the fears that are still inside of me that are keeping a glass ceiling on how high I can go, right? So if you have a dream to be extremely wealthy, or to have a beautiful home that's paid off, that your family can live in, that's provided for, your ability to actually manifest that is tethered to your deepest fears and insecurities, or false belief systems around your inability to do that, right? And those come from that place of not really trusting yourself. That's the Scorpio energy inside. Okay. So when we tune in again to where the Scorpio energy is going to be coming up in you, we want to think about those primal survival things, right? So you can think back to when you were a kid, and think back to when your like intense sacral expression was squashed a little bit, right? And that might not have been directly squashed, although it could have been. Like if you were a kid that loved to skateboard and snowboard and just like extreme sports, and had that kind of creative outlet and desire to do that, but you had maybe a really disciplined father that thought that that was not the mature thing to do for a 15-year-old kid. And they're going to say it's time that you grow up and quit those activities. Now it's like, well, you're still a kid and you're still expressing and you're still in that creative impulse of like getting that creative fire out of you, right? Or similarly, it could be the child or the teen that was an artist and just wanted to create and bake and paint and be in their kind of sacral creative expression, but you were more told that that's not practical, or that's not going to build the foundation that will keep you secure in your life. So you kind of put that aside or dampened that inner fire so that you could follow a more mainstream, safe um, path. And then we get this space between your urge to create and to move your energy in a way that's very natural for you when you're younger, and the world kind of coming in, the way of the world coming in saying, you can't survive if you follow your passion, if you allow your creative spark, your fiery sacral energy to run your life. So you get this false belief system that you can't be creative, that you can't be an artist, and you end up overworking and getting unbalanced in that other area. Okay. Another example of this would be someone who's very open to energies, right? So I'll use me as an example, and I have pretty strong Scorpio energy because I have my South Node conjunct Pluto in the eighth house. Some astrology jargon basically to say really, really intense. And my psychic abilities, my intense ability to merge with people to the point where I can feel all their energy field and read it, right? Like that's where that those qualities that I have come from is my Scorpio energy. Now, when I was a kid, I was so bombarded and overwhelmed energetically, feeling everything all the time, but no one was talking about what was going on or tuned into me, right? And so I just suppressed that part of me, kind of shut it off, which a lot of intuitive, sensitive kids do, because it's scary and it's just too much and it's hard to function, right? And then at a certain point, when you understand, oh, that's what's going on for me, you can nurture that energy and start to use it in the world. And so for me, doing what I do, because it's my South Node, is comes more easily to me because it's almost as if I'm more comfortable with that expression of myself. But for others who are moving into Scorpio energy in their life, that have to learn to be kind of have this irrational approach to life by conventional standards, right? I always say, I didn't know what I wanted to be in university because doing this job wasn't part of my university job fair. So how could I know? Right? I ended up going down a path that a lot of people would say, like, that's completely irrational for someone that has the degrees and the post grad and the corporate business experience. But I had this urge inside to get that energy up and out of me. And that's where that Scorpio energy can really become very painful if you keep it down inside. So, this is where all of you want to reflect on what of your sacral expression, and by that I mean your emotions, your sexuality, your pure, uninhibited, like ability to attach to energy and read energy, your creation, your physical expression, screaming, yelling, fighting, crying, laughing, right? Like these are all those pure primal instincts of expression. Where in your life have you dampened that? When you dampen that, that's dampening the fire inside. That's suppressing that sacral fire. And then living life from a place of fear that you can't fully express, and that always has impacts on the human, right? And typically that's going to express in Taurus archetypes of self-worth, self-value, and inability to really build and feel foundational safety in this life, because those things are all connected, and that's the Taurus archetypal energy. So these two are really working with each other. These are the themes of May. Every year we're going through these same motions. So what you want to do is find balance between the two energies. Okay. So You want to find a good balance between doing what's responsible and what makes you feel good. What is that Taurus new moon energy of like setting yourself up foundationally to receive, to nurture yourself, and to make sure that you are in a position in your physical body, in your vessel, in your life, in your home, in your job, in your work, all of the above, to receive and feel nurtured so that you can keep plowing away every day and feeling secure in that. Finding a balance between that and what is not that, which is just your desire to completely irrationally explode and implode and follow your impulses and live that sacral raw energy in the world. Okay. I was listening recently to I think it was like a YouTube TED talk, and it was an artist, and she was talking about how creating art will save the world, and also the three pillars of like a healthy society is health and wellness. You know, if each individual is focusing on their health, is focusing on their like philosophy or spiritualism, their morality, right, that kind of higher human impulses. And the one that we never think about is art and aestheticism and creating this aesthetic life, right? Because we need somewhere to express that sacral energy that is safe, and that also, bonus, if it contributes to the world. Um, because if we keep it in, it starts to burn us. Okay. So to deeper tune into the Scorpio energy, if you could imagine that you have life force that wants you to always feel brave enough and almost like act on your gut instincts in that pure creative flow. The sacral is connected also to like procreation, right? So when you want to make a baby with someone, you don't think about it, and there could be many reasons that you could put on paper why it's not the right time, but that sacral urge to create life is bigger than all of those things, right? It's the same thing. It's that sacral urge that you follow regardless of what logic and reason is telling you. It's a fire inside of you. Fire is the action of doing. It's just following your fiery impulse. Okay. And Scorpio is also a water sign, right? And water is based on the feeling function. It's not air, thought, communication, thinking, logic, and reason. It's not earth. It's not always the most practical thing, right? It's not always going to get you ahead in a conventional way. It's water. It's what do I feel? Can I act on these feelings in a way that empowers me and encourages other people to also follow their sacral expression, right? And we all know that incredible art does that and inspires and empowers us. So when you have this water that is also fire, you can think of an inner cauldron. You have a cauldron filled with water with a fire raging underneath it. And you get this bubbling, right? So the water is not at bay, it's not at rest and calm. That would be like Pisces energy. Scorpio is like fiery, hot, boiling water. And what happens is it turns into steam, right? There's an alchemy connected with this sacral energy, with this Scorpio energy. It comes into steam and it rises up, and it needs to be expressed. So you can think about a pressure cooker, right? Like we keep the lid on really tight for a long time to create this intense pressure, but eventually you have to hit the off pressure button. Otherwise, that pressure cooker eventually is going to explode and create a huge, huge mess. And this is what happens in our body when we don't have a pressure release valve. Okay. So this is why it's really, really important during Scorpio full moon also to see like, where am I not releasing this? What have I been holding in so long? How is it, and you'll be able to find that just based on your late night rumination, based on your deepest fears, based on literally what is coming up in your reality and in your internal reality right now. And think, when was the last time I hit a release valve? Or what are my modalities in life to release this pressure, because it is the case that everyone has that sacral impulse, that bubbling cauldron, and that need to transmute that energy into creative expression in the world. In a reading, when I feel into someone and they have a lot of this pent up sacral pressure, I'll often say, like, go start by going into your bedroom and screaming into a pillow, like sacred screaming, primal screaming, just to get that energy out, right? Like, start to relieve some pressure. That's really, really helpful here. But eventually, we want to get you to a point where you are expressing this and moving this energy so that you're loosening up those lower survival impulses, those chakras, those base fears that all of us are being challenged this year with shedding, right? So that we can start to move into the upper chakras, and so that we can start to live from a little bit more of a expanded frequency, right? Because when we are literally in this ascension, we're here as the earth is going through an expansion in frequency from a denser frequency to a lighter frequency. Those denser primal fears that are stored in our lower chakras are going to create this real pull on us as we try to move into more expanded states. We can't go up without going down and in, right? And in a reading, I say this all the time, you're always going to be pulled down into, I shouldn't say down, because I don't love like the lower and higher. I like contracted and expansion. But if you have those inner fears or inner densities that keep you contracted in your life, you are always going to have to face and work through those before you get a lot of insight and glimpse into the expanded questions that you might have. Not to say that that's 100% the case, because always we use that vision of the more expanded frequency that's available in your life as inspiration, but you'll always be directed to do this work first. And so with the Scorpio full moon comes around once a year, we really want to heed that call to go really, really deep inward and sit in those fears that come off. And as opposed to ruminate on them, I find something that really, really helps me when my mind is doing that, like ruminating on the fear and worrying. I shift to a mantra that's something like, all I have right now is all that I need, or I am as happy in this moment as I could ever imagine being, right? And you repeat that over and over to yourself. So you create this mantra that tells yourself, tells your body that you're safe and you're happy and your life is good. And that helps to negate those polarizing ruminations that are going on. The biggest recommendation would be to desensitize yourself to those ruminations. Make lists of everything that's beautiful and working in your life, right? Even just like, oh, I'm sitting on a comfy chair. I get to sleep in a comfortable bed at night. Yeah, I shared myself with my group of friends, and a couple of them were a bit awkward about it, but 5 of them told me later that that was really profound for them, right? And so I'm going to focus my energy there. I did a brave thing. I was vulnerable. Instead of isolating and keeping that inside and letting it fester inside of me, I actually reached out to someone, and then that opened a conversation to more people. And now I feel safer to be my full self in this world, as opposed to just part of myself that society deems acceptable. And, Scorpio is the sacral woman. It's the emotional woman. And this is for men and for women. It's that part of us on the inside that's been demonized, that's had the scarlet letter on her, that's been told you're too irrational, right? You're too much. Calm down. That's Scorpio energy. And so learning healthy ways to express and get that energy and take back that energy, especially if you have that sacral wounding in your life, you might want to find a very feminine sacral expression to move through your healing. Because what you're ultimately wanting to do is make your body feel safe being in a sacral expression. Okay. So connect the inner emotions that are coming up right now to times when you were younger and you had that pure sacral impulse, and connected to when you shut it down or turned it off. How are you expressing then? What is the adult version of you getting back to expressing that now? What are some thoughts, hopes, dreams that you've always had, that if you were freer, that if you were able to be that if you were able to be more vulnerable and less inhibited, you would express in the world? What would you lead with if sensing energy and being an intuitive and just having this raw kind of power was just the way it was and had always been for you, right? Start to imagine and dream up those things, and then see what's holding you back from that. It's probably yourself. It's probably your dimming of your own light, right? Or it might be someone outside of you that goes like, you're too much, you're too intense, or your emotions are out of control, right? It could be the case somewhat. It is our responsibility to bring ourselves into balance, but sometimes we need to go into a room and scream or move or shake or just decide that I'm going to be the biggest version of myself in a way that never hurts people, but that isn't afraid to hurt myself anymore, right? Another thing quickly to comment on, moving forward from the full moon, new moon energy, is all of the energy that's happening in the sky opposite to this full moon. So if you could see all of the planets in the sky, what you would see was the full moon is kind of hanging out by itself over here. And then across, we have all of these planets, big and small, in kind of opposite energies. And most particularly in the Aries energy, which is what is happening for us right now in a really, really big way. And this is starting now and will continue on for a very long time. Like I'm talking like 20 years, is creating a brand new version of us. We knew this was coming a long time. We knew this is the lifetime where we're having a massive, massive ego spiritual death, dying without dying, staying in this body, but becoming completely new. So you can really think about the caterpillar to butterfly, where the butterfly or the caterpillar has these imaginal cells inside of them their whole life that eventually on a time release, you know, timeline are going to want to start transforming into a butterfly. And this caterpillar is like aware that it has these different cells inside of them, and it actually causes a lot of discomfort in the caterpillar because the imaginal cells that have the DNA and the information to become the caterpillar, the butterfly, are very different than the caterpillar's DNA. So it creates this polarizing energy inside. Again, that's full moon energy. It's polarizing. It's, oh, everything else is this, but this is also there, and it's triggering something because it's acting in polarity. And so eventually that very discomfort of having these imaginal or visionary cells is what causes the caterpillar to go into its cocoon. And we've all been there. Times when you are just so overwhelmed with what's going on inside of you in your life, just all of these intense things that you just have to go inward and like shut down life and say, I need time for myself because I'm processing so much. So it's literally that discomfort in the caterpillar that um, that draws it towards creating this cocoon, a place where it can feel safe, because it's not feeling safe with these imaginal cells starting to trigger chemical processes. So into the cocoon it goes. And then eventually these imaginal cells that want the next iteration of the caterpillar start becoming stronger and stronger, and the caterpillar actually starts like internally combusting and fighting with these imaginal cells. So there's this internal conflict going on, and this is what's happening for all of us right now. These big outer planets are moving into the sign of Aries, which is the brand new start. It's the new you. It's your new body. It's your light body. It is what we all came here for, to transform into the butterfly version of us. Okay. So this Scorpio energy right now, just on the cusp of these big planets, Saturn, Neptune, moving into Aries, is saying, oh, that's so uncomfortable to have this polarity inside of me. Right. So once that internal quarrel really starts taking place, the imaginal cells are stronger and wiser, and they start to dominate. Okay, so these start to replicate, and they get to a point where they're so overpowered and taking up so much mass that the caterpillar eventually starts dying and decomposing. So what was starts decomposing inside the cocoon, and what will be, and what is the greater octave, the greater version, starts to multiply. And this is where we really have to keep our psyche, our consciousness, keep mindful on our heart, aiming for, as we go through these hard times in this transition. In 2025 is the year of the shift. We need to remember that inside all of us, why we're here on earth at this time is to let these imaginal cells, this expansive version of us, this embodiment, right, letting more of our light into our physical vessel, keep multiplying, and knowing that's happening inside of us, whether how much we fight it or not, it's happening. The pain and suffering that you feel will be expanded insofar as you fight the process, right? And so this is why I've been saying for so long now, rest, relax. If you're in an internal struggle, don't keep plodding away like that little caterpillar, like, going through life gathering sticks, or I don't know what they do, eating moss. Build your cocoon, go inside and say, okay, this is happening whether you're ready or prepared for it or not. So surrender. And again, I'll keep harping on surrender, because the North Node's in Pisces, and it will be for another year and a half. So surrender to the process. Your imaginal cells are expanding. Your light body is coming online. And the old version of us always came here with the blueprint intention to decompose, to become that substance, that food that ultimately, as the butterfly forms inside the cocoon, actually eats the old dead cells. It's like at a certain point, it's all slime in there, right? So like who we were and what we've been becomes the sustenance, the food, the energy for what we are becoming right now. Okay. So all of this to say, like the fears that live inside of you are the old caterpillar. Fears aren't true. The only thing that's true in this present moment is feeling into first nothingness, that's the void, and then like peace, safety, love. That's the natural manifold for living on earth that we are moving towards, easing into, feeling. That's the natural rhythm of the earth. And we are coming back into this natural rhythm. So just know that there are these fears that are inside, the vulnerabilities, anything that says, oh no, I'm worried about that. I can't do that because of this. Let me try to contrive and figure out a way to get this so that I don't have to move deeper into the sphere. No, that's not going to work anymore. That's what we're moving beyond, right? These imaginal cells are multiplying. We are becoming the butterfly. So we're moving towards this brand new version of us. It's a natural process that's taking place. There's nothing that we need to do to make it happen, but we can surrender to the process and gain a little bit more control over the mind by becoming aware of the fact that the fears and the false beliefs are just that, sitting in them, breathing through that, right? The healing comes when you identify areas where you've been repressed, areas where you haven't let yourself express for so long, and taking the risk to do that, and then settling into, you know, going slow and steady, and saying I'm healing, and so I'm not necessarily like my most relaxed nervous system state right now, so going gentle and slow with yourself until that becomes more normalized and you build those new pathways, right? That's healing. That's bringing that into the body and integrating it, and then doing what you can, this is the Taurus energy, at the same time, to make sure that you're rested, that you are saying that mantra of I have what I need right now. And as I come to believe that, then I know that the universe will provide even more for me, right? Your ability to receive is directly in relation to your ability to feel worthy of receiving. So that was a lot for today. Let me just take a second here to see if there's anything else that wants to come through in particular. Yeah, I think the biggest, like, just lasting message to leave is that we're all in the surrender PhD part of our programming on Earth for the next couple of years, right? So sometimes the biggest advice that I can give people when they have all of these worries and fears and woes and nowhere to put them is just pray. Just put your hands together, and that doesn't have to be to God, or in conventional religious sense of praying. The original, um, in yoga, um, in the yoga philosophy, they pray with their hands open, and that's to receive from the universe, right? To have something just drop right into their hands. So personally, I like to sit and open my hands and just say, I'm putting all of my worries aside, because I know that those at that point is that deconstructing caterpillar, and it just isn't true. I'm going to do what I can to be productive and to do the things that are going to make me feel more secure and at ease, whether that's receiving love, moving deeper into friendship, or literally just doing your taxes and getting your finances in order. I'm going to do that. That's where I'm going to put my energy. And I'm going to say, help me, show me the way. I surrender this. And surrendering means that, we're not just surrendering period to nothing. We're surrendering to a greater force that is a harmonious, loving force, right? So in that surrender, it's built in that we get to say, a little help, please. Show me the signs, be the wind underneath my sails, help me feel more love. Just be here with me. Call your support team in and say, I'm good. I'm really going through it right now. I'm going to need as much presence as possible. Ask for signs. Play with that realm, get connected to that realm, use your free will to ask for support, because we all have it. We have to ask for it though, and say it out loud too. Bring that intention into vibration in the world and say, okay, I'm surrendering, and I'm going to trust that those fears that I have aren't going to run and rule my life. And I'm asking for your help with this, right? Surrender. Pisces, North Node, surrendering to a higher power, learning to trust, letting go of the over-analyzing, the analytical side of your nature. Because remember, your mind is part of the old caterpillar that's turning into a liquid diet, right? And so a lot of the times right now, it's like that part of your mind that's running from those lower chakras that are still existing in fear is not making the best decisions. It's not giving you the best guidance right now. So release that version of you and say, okay, I'm in the nothingness, I'm in the void, until the new higher version and the higher kind of structures come into place, which they are at every moment of every day. The incoming energy is very strong always. And that's why drinking water, resting, taking time to ourselves, not overdoing it, working efficiently, not, like smarter, not harder, as they say. that's all for right now. I hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck and skill and perseverance and expression as you move through this Scorpio full moon. And as always, in the Cosmic Wisdom Portal, we're going to go deeper into finding this full moon in your personal chart so you know exactly what area of your life it's showing up in. For me, it's showing up in my eighth house of finances and debt and those deep, deep partnerships, deep merging, sharing life force energy, and just getting nice and clean and clear there. So join us in the Cosmic Wisdom Portal if you want, or enjoy these videos every couple weeks. Goodbye, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.